Amazon sellers, today I can report really great news when it comes to price gouging accusations against you and the power, or better yet, after this decision, the lack of power state attorney generals have to even investigate your sales. Before we get into it, there are 2 points you need to know that the court talked about in its decision specifically. One, it confirmed what I have been telling you folks for weeks and weeks, I guess now it's months, that Amazon has been communicating directly with state attorney generals and providing information about your sales. Now, what I have personally seen from the spreadsheets that Amazon provided to state attorney generals, they're giving all your information, but of course, Amazon left itself and its sales off that data. There were over 500,000 offers removed from Amazon based upon these price gouging investigations, and 6,000 sellers lost their accounts. This is huge, and this decision is absolutely fantastic when it comes to Amazon sellers. Here's the legal issue. Can the state of Kentucky, and hopefully this will apply to all the other states in the union, can the state of Kentucky use its state laws to perform an investigation into Amazon sellers who service the entire country through the national Amazon platform? The first rule of law the court had to address is something called standing. Standing is, does the plaintiff, does the person or company bringing the lawsuit have a right to be involved in dispute? Basically, does the person suing, has he or she or it lost anything? And the court ruled that the Online Merchants Guild, and more importantly, its member, did have standing to bring the lawsuit. And that was a huge victory for the plaintiff in this case, for the Amazon seller. The second issue the court addressed is whether or not the court itself had jurisdiction. Because first you need someone who has the ability to sue over a wrong, and then the court has to decide whether it has the ability to even become involved. Court jurisdiction means basically power. Does the court have power to decide this dispute and govern the parties? In this case, it was an Amazon seller and the state of Kentucky. The court looked at what's called ripeness. Was the time to make a decision now? Were there enough facts in dispute, and was there harm? And the court here decided absolutely 100% yes, because the state of Kentucky was going after sellers and the investigation had criminal-like effects. So the court decided this dispute was within its jurisdiction and it was ripe for a decision. The second part of jurisdiction is what's called abstention. Since this was a federal court, federal courts have to decide whether they should insert themselves into state court law. And since Kentucky's law is affecting Amazon sellers outside of Kentucky, the court decided not to remove itself, not to exercise abstention, and the court decided it was going to handle this case. Now, I mentioned criminal-like investigation. The court addressed that matter and said yes. When Kentucky was investigating this Amazon seller and other Amazon sellers within Kentucky, and the potential for fines was there, this was criminal-like persecution, and the court decided to stay involved. The entire basis of the case as it sits right now is under U.S. constitutional law, specifically the Interstate Commerce Clause, or what lawyers refer to as the Dormant Commerce Clause. I'm trying to stay away from legalese. Basically, the federal government reserves the right to govern interstate commerce. When state to state to state are doing business across state lines, that's interstate commerce. When it comes to the Dormant Commerce Clause, it prohibits states from issuing laws that will have effect outside of states' borders. What does that mean? Kentucky's investigation and Kentucky's statute would have effects on sellers in Connecticut, in New York, in California. That made it extraterritorial outside the state of Kentucky, and this is one of the reasons this federal court decided it was going to keep this case and stay involved. So what did the court specifically rule in this case? It is not a 100% victory. The case is not nearly over. But this is what the court ruled. One, that this plaintiff had the right to bring the case to court. Number two, the federal court was holding on to it. Number three, the federal court issued a TRO, a temporary restraining order, that told the state of Kentucky, stop. You may not use those statutes to investigate Amazon sellers. You have to stop your investigation right now. The court did not decide to dismiss and prohibit the investigation. The court is simply going to allow these issues to be litigated, the constitutionality of Kentucky's price gouging laws and how they can be applied, and that will go on for another day. But as of right now, the state of Kentucky may not use these two specific laws to investigate Amazon sellers, and I have the full expectation that all of the other attorney generals around the country are going to stop their investigations based upon this decision. While I cannot guarantee it, if you are currently being investigated by your state attorney general for price gouging, I believe that those investigations should stop. If your state attorney general continues to investigate you, or you receive a notice from your state attorney general asking you for information, asking you for documentation, contact us for a free consultation. We can review the law in your state. We can let you know our thoughts. And while we cannot practice law outside of New York and outside of Chicago and a couple of other venues around the United States, we can certainly help you get some quick answers and get local counsel involved and help protect you from your state attorney general. Thank you for joining for this special edition of Inside Information. I am so proud of Amazon sellers for standing up to state attorney generals. I am so proud of my team's ability to have resolved multiple cases with state attorney generals, and this decision is great for sellers.